that. We're flashing on YouTube. On a thankful Thursday, or whatever kind of Thursday you've had today. I hope it's been a very enjoyable one. While Jesse fires us up on IE News, boy, if I could talk straight. While Jesse fires us up on IE Newswire on Facebook on that, coming up on that, we're absolutely getting ready to rock and roll. Lots of good news, or good news, bad news, in between news, interesting news, sad news, fun news coming up on the show today, live at 5 here in a sec. There's that funky music every day. You can hear us Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 6 on KMET 1490 AM on ABC News Talk Radio Network and IE Newswire Daily with Stephanie and Roy. Each and every day we do all the news and views and commentary and fun stuff you'll see every day, each and every day on this show, the number one listened to show, we think, in the Inland Empire. So I was just cutting a promo. You might hear that promo coming on in that. As that we'll see what they see what the crew can do with that on the show. Lots of breaking news on that. We'll have Eddie George coming up in a little bit, give us an update on what's going on in HEMET, because HEMET is a poppin' town. I mean, they've had their challenges, but hopefully they're on the rebound and stuff for straightening some of these things out. And with all of our communities, we should be doing that. Each and every day. A lot of times, and I mean, we do focus on the negative stuff a lot because, hey, that's what brings the people in, no matter what they say. I mean, you can study human behavior, at least that. People will tell you they don't want to hear the negative. What do they watch? Jerry Springer. I mean, that's the number one rated shows are that. You put somebody like the old news adage, if it bleeds, it leads. And there's probably nothing truer than that. People love to hear or see the tragedies of life, but they don't necessarily want to admit it. But deep down inside, they know that I'm right. Breaking news story, a couple hours ago, Riverside Sheriff's Department released a statement. We got the news story and the picture up on IE Newswire. On that, the suspect wanted in the triple murder where the bodies homicide, where the bodies were dumped off or found at a PERRIS cemetery, I think on Monday. Well, the suspect was finally caught today on a traffic stop up there in Wyoming, of all places. Jose Luis Torres Garcia was picked up by Cheyenne, Wyoming police, who made a traffic stop and made the discovery in the Yukon, the 2007 Yukon. I think one of the ones that was pictured that the sheriff's department had put out on that. So the suspect is in custody. I would imagine he will be extradited to, which means transported, a fancy term, transported back to Riverside County as soon as possible, and he will be waiting trial, probably charges in a trial and everything else on murder charges on that. What they found, gads, marijuana, and all sorts of probably drugs and everything else on this guy when they made the trial. What is it? 15 pounds of marijuana was found on him on that. Maybe no drugs, but, well, I guess, I don't know if do we classify marijuana as, even though it's legal, do we still classify it as, with the THC, is it considered a drug? I don't know. But anyway, he had 15 pounds of weed on this. Just speculation. Do you think this might, have to do with drugs? And, people have speculated this is the cartels or that. I don't know how deep it goes into it or how deep it is. But I'm sure once the whole story comes out on this whole enchilada, you're going to find that, there's probably, maybe they were arguing about money or something, because it appears from the last press conference that Sheriff Chad Bianco had that they all knew each other. They were all with each other the night before Sunday night, or when I think it was prior to the three victims' bodies being found out in the Paris cemetery. So that's good news that they did get their man on that. So that's another breaking story that just is coming out on that. I was just looking. This is one that just broke too. KABC Channel 7 is reporting breaking news: a Korean air flight attendant who was diagnosed with coronavirus shortly after working a flight in Los Angeles, South Korea. Media's reporting. So she was on Korean Air. A flight attendant has been diagnosed with the coronavirus, who was working a flight in Los Angeles. So that's another breaking news on the happenings in the latest coronavirus stuff. It's been we're gonna touch on I think a little bit afterwards, after we talk to Eddie, when we come back on the at the bottom of the hour break, on this stuff of Bernie. Man, is that stuff popping on that? We'll catch a little bit of the polls. The Real Clear Politics average on that right now is coming out. It's going Bernie. Biden's about 20. I mean, Biden's about 30. Bernie's about 20. Tom Steyer, surprisingly, is up about 15% on average. And what Real Clear Politics does is average. I mean, they post all the polls, but they average all the ones coming out. I think Biden may squeak out a victory, but typically, if the pattern holds, Biden has been underperforming versus the polling, and Bernie has been overperforming. So I would expect that 10-point gap that's averaging now on the primary in South Carolina will probably be narrow, but Biden may squeak it out. I haven't seen any polling yet that showed Bernie. Maybe there was an outlier, but most of them are pretty consistent on that. On that either way. They do mix them up a little bit. Some have Bernie or Biden way ahead. Some have them. I think the closest one I think had a Bernie with 4 points on him. So that will be intrigue. Measure A in Riverside County. Vote no, no, no. That's if you live in Riverside Community College District area, which is basically Riverside, Corona, Norco, Moreno Valley, Perris. Of that, you're going to be on your ballot next Tuesday, if you haven't already sent it in, because voting's 30 days long. In that, you're going to be voting on Measure A, which is a $715 million bond. They do not need the money, and they specifically do not need that amount of money. And specifically, as Jason Hunter and others have pointed out, unless they give us a specific project list of projects they are going to build with that, then vote no. Because as I put the example, and I'm sure you could find this in most school districts that are going on, the $398 million bond that was passed by Moreno Valley Unified School District voters in 2014, they spent 20 some odd million or some number on a 3-year lease on Chromebooks that you will be paying on for 30 years. That's, like I said, that is financial suicide. You're financing short-term products with debt that's 3 times longer than the useful life of a computer. Average life of a computer is probably less than 3 years, but I'm going to give you 3 years as the average life of a computer. And you're financing them for 30 years under technology, and they said our schools are falling apart. Blah, 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 blah. The number one thing this is going to, and we've had all the experts, John Coppell, Susan Shelley, Jason Hunter, and many, just about anybody else that's honest about this, all these bonds, taxes, or whatever they're passing is going to pay public employee pensions and benefits and salaries, period. Just like the article that came out in the Washington Examiner. Again, like Newsom told you just after he got elected, all you suckers that voted to keep the gas tax, and all of you that have voted for all these dingbats, up in Sacramento that got you cap and trade, got you paying $1 plus more a gallon than practically everybody else in the 50 states of that. And they said, we're going to fix your roads. And the cop was sitting there saying, if you don't do this, if you don't pass this, you're going to be going over that bridge, and an earthquake's going to happen. That bridge is going to fall apart because it's in bad repair. You and your family are going to die. Well, that was complete, utter BS. Because Newsom said it. The operating engineers, which thought they were going to get a lot of work on that, is now, we didn't know nothing about this, and they're not going to build the roads, and crying like screaming little 5-year-old girls who just got their pigtails pulled in kindergarten. Man up. You guys knew it. You've been screwed by him before, and go and say, you know what? Well, maybe next time you won't endorse Gavin Newsom for governor, or who knows, or Anthony Ray Dawn, or all these yin-yangs that are up there. It is your money that put them in there. You endorse them. You told your members to go out and vote for these guys. And now they're screwing you, and you're crying about it. What does that say about you? The microphones are open. You can come on in and debate this. Phone lines are open. It won't be in a little bit. 951-242-5397. Give us a call at the bottom of the hour if you have a different take on this, or you have some different information. Because all the information, all the facts that are sitting out there point to this. And they're doing it again on the $15 million school bond that's statewide, $15 billion, school bond that's statewide, that's on the ballot. Every California registered voter has the opportunity to vote no, no, no on Prop 13. They do not need $15 billion. They have a $22 billion surplus. We will not have that forever due to our convoluted tax system in California. In the next recession, that will be wiped out. We're budgeting this and projecting it out like it's going to spend forever. They should be taking, if they needed $15 billion in school construction, they should be taking it out of the $22 billion surplus, and they would still have $7 billion left. They do not need the money. Valverde School District does not need the money. In parts of Moreno Valley, I think in one in Riverside and one in San Bernardino, you've got a local school bond on top of that. You're getting hit with 3 tax increases in some areas, some 2, like that, at least 1 across the whole state of California, the $15 billion school bond, Prop 13, and vote no until they can explain to you what they are going to spend it on. Because if they're going to borrow 30-year money, every project they're doing should have a useful life of more than 30 years. And that means building new schools, which we have declining enrollment statewide. So there may be some need for refurbishing schools, but there's probably not a great demand for building new school facilities in the state of California. Hence, you do not need a bond. The dirty little secret, like I've said, I've heard many, many times in many school districts of stuff, they've said, don't fix this stuff, let it get to a crisis point, and then we'll finance it for the bond. So what they can do with that, their general fund money, they can increase their pensions and their salaries, which the report says most of all the school districts are going to be bankrupt by 2022 because 28% of all school fund money is going to go to paying pensions. And that's the latest report. I put it out at Moreno Valley Unified, and they haven't disputed that point on that. So without further ado on that, we're going to catch up on all the latest news. This is coming out of HEMET and beyond. We're going to have that crazy guy with a lazy eye who puts it all together along with his crew, with Lori and everybody else out there. Eddie George, welcome back to the show.
What's up, folks? Y'all want some crazy news from the crazy guy with the lazy eye? Well, Roy, we got it today, man. How you doing, man?
I'm absolutely fantastic and waiting for what you got, because everything you got is usually fantastic.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I don't even know where to begin at, man. I do want to address here in Hemet, we had a kind of a big story that happened. We had a guy, let me tell you this. This is a crazy story. Guy comes home from work, and I guess he was drinking a little bit. Walk into the house and notice his wife in bed with another man. Now, what do you think is going to go through that guy's head? Is he going to grab a gun, shoot the guy, or what is he going to do?
Right.
No, instead, he grabs the car keys and takes the wife's car and takes off like a bat out of hell. And he starts going all over the place, and runs up on a CHP officer. The officer ends up running his tag. Comes to find out the tag didn't match the car. So, what's wrong with this picture, says CHP. So CHP, of course, hits the blue lights, pulls the guy over, gets out of the vehicle, and neighbors stated that they heard the officer say, pulling you over because your plates don't match your vehicle. And the guy decided, oh, shoot, I already lost my wife. Now I got busted, with my plates. What else is going to go wrong? Well, let me make it the worst decision I can ever make. Let's assault this officer and take off. So he hits the officer with his car and takes off, leaves the officer laying in the ground. The officer was holding his face and everything. He had blood, according to a witness. And the guy starts running down, I guess hits Florida Avenue, going westbound on Florida. The chase gets out. They try to get road spikes out for this guy. Gets him stopped at Chase Bank and got him at gunpoint and arrested the guy. And I kind of thought to myself, dang, a chase ends at Chase Bank. That's a good motto right there. But they did get the guy. He did surrender. He was actually on the phone with his niece at the time the whole thing took place. So that's how I got my information on what happened. He was actually on his way to his niece's house and got stopped by the CHP, and his niece's house was just like a couple streets over. So, yeah, his night didn't go very good for him. He found out his wife was cheating on him, injured an officer, and went to jail.
So did you get that information from his niece, or how did you come across that? Okay, so that's where that's his niece is reporting that was that. Is this that one that they made the arrest on or whatever, where the CHP officer was hit and kind of had a big uproar and everything? The story was going wild of all the speculation that was going on.
Yeah, and I'm here to clear that, and I did put that in my story too. That everybody was talking about the officer got shot, the officer got punched in the face, the officer was ran over and drugged. And if you see my video that I put on Him and I News on YouTube and also on Facebook, that I did an interview with the CHP officer, Matt Napier, PIO officer, and he, explained that he was struck by the car. He could have hit him with his mirror of the car. He could have hit him with a door. He could have, just bumped him. But he did have some injuries, so it was, not just a bump.
Right.
And then people were actually saying, too, that he was wanted for attempted bank robbery, because everybody assumed he was there trying to rob the bank. But just because he was at the bank being stopped don't mean he robbed the bank there, So I cleared that up. No bank robberies or attempted bank robberies was involved. That's the true story. You heard it from the CHP officer's mouth, So, but while I was on that scene, I got done interviewing the officer and everything, and I was able to get up close and, get the pictures of everything that you've seen in the video. And everybody already left, and I was still there with my partner, John Strangus, and we were editing a video to actually put on TV and send to the TV stations. And this car pulled up, and they got out, and they started looking around with flashlights out in the middle of Chicago. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I walked up to the people. I said, did you guys lose anything? And then I heard them say something about, well, there's blood right here. I'm like, oh, so are you a family member of the CHP officer that was injured? And they're like, no, we're the family member of the guy that did it. I'm like, oh, so what happened? And she told me the story. I'm like, wow. So I called CHP. And I told Officer Napier, I said, hey, this is a story behind the story what caused your guy to get hit. This is what happened before he took off out of the house. And I'm like, wow. He said, man, that's crazy. He said, I'm going to go ahead and send this over to our investigators so they'll have it, with RSO, because they took over the investigation. So, But that's the story there.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's a very intriguing story of what's going on that whole thing going on. Man, that's a. When you start off with the story, it said, well, yeah, a guy walked in and found his wife in bed with that. I thought a joke was coming after that. I mean, usually that's that's the start of a line of, and I'm waiting for the punchline and thinking, well, no, this isn't. I mean, you don't hardly hear these stories of like in a live deal. And again, we have that's a report Eddie George got from the niece of the suspect that was arrested in this whole ordeal coming on. Man, that guy just had just a terrible day. I mean, he was probably making, well, not that you come up with that, but then after that, I mean, it seems like, it appears that he's making every bad decision after this whole thing is coming
right.
out.
And people wanted to say, well, I wrote the article like that, and it sounds like I'm, defending the guy. No, I'm not defending the guy from his own stupidity. Yeah, maybe, the reason why I posted it that way is because, well, the guy would have probably came home and his wife was there cooking dinner instead of boning another guy. Maybe that decision that he did, he wouldn't have left the house. He might have would have sat down and ate a nice meal and done it himself. But no, he got mad and went out and hit the streets, and then hell broke loose.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a strange reaction to that. Well, maybe he thought, maybe he didn't want to get a gun, like your natural reaction would be in, a certain trip to jail. But, I mean, he wound up there anyway doing what he did, so that'll be definitely an interesting story to follow on that. I mean, if it is like this, I mean, that's like kind of Jerry Springer live.
No, I'll tell you some Jerry Springer. We were just sitting here. We've been visiting a friend of ours. She's been sick, so we've been staying with her, helping, take care of her for the last few days. And I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. We got a police chase going on right here in HEMET. And I'm like, oh, well, let me grab my radio, So I grab my police scanner. And I turn it on, and I go on my iPhone, and I start live streaming, police chase. I'm letting people listen to the scanner. And I'm sitting here, and Lori's outside and talking with a friend. And all of a sudden, I hear him say the street name that we're on visiting. And I'm like, oh, my God, So I go grab my camera real quick. I hear the sirens coming. I run out the door with my camera, turn it on. As soon as I get it turned on, here comes the cops passing by. Went to hit record, and I'm like, no SD card in my camera. I'm like, crap. Run back in the house, grab my SD card in my camera, and then the battery falls out. I'm like, screw this, I run back in the house. I said, I'm already live on HEMET News because I got my cell phone live, actually broadcasting the chase. So I grab my scanner and grab my phone, and out the door I go, and I run down the street, and I get right in the middle of it, and now everybody, instead of listening to the scanner, they're seeing the whole thing happening. And I got the cops still pouring in, and they got the guy down. He ran through somebody's yard. He got some cactuses in his leg and everything. So the medics came. They were pulling the cactuses out of his leg. And, I'm like, people were talking, to me on the side. And like, man, they should have took that cactus and stuck it up as what. And I'm like, what did you say? And I turned the camera on the guy, and he said it again. I'm like, there you go. He said it, not me. But I did tell him to pull a few cactuses out and stick it, where it needs to be too. But anyway, but they did get the guy. Looked like they possibly stole a truck. The guy was running from the cops, and you can hear through the live streaming he caused an accident, hit somebody over on State Street, and kept going. And they nailed him over here on Oakland and Yale. And then the guy jumped out and footbailed into the neighborhood, and then I got the arrest and everything while they were at the other vehicle. So one news team got one story, and I got the action over here.
There you go, man. You guys
Lion in Oakland. Yeah, Lion in Oakland. I'm sorry, Lion in Oakland.
You got it, man. You guys are, on top of everything going out there, of all the stuff going on out at HEMET.
Right.
Which surprised me. I think it was the other day. I mean, we had a guy, or there was a shooting. 2 got shot of non-life-threatening injuries out on Myers Street on here, and what surprised me is it just kind of got a ho-hum reaction out of everybody on the whole deal. I mean, I don't know if we're kind of getting just which is kind of dangerous in a way, that we're kind of getting desensitized to all this stuff, or we're just kind of not doing that. Do you find that, or so? I mean, am I just am I not seeing things right? But I'm just seeing a lot of people are just kind of like bypassing a lot of this stuff. If it isn't really sensational like that, they just kind of like bypass it.
They do, but you're still imagining it, though.
I got to check myself on this stuff of what's going on, but it's great. And just for you, if you notice that I'm not commenting and stuff on that, Facebook's giving me crap about commenting on my own show on Facebook Live that's broadcasting on there. They're saying the comments I'm making, like tagging you guys and stuff, are making comments is against their community standards.
That's stupid, Roy. But, you can have somebody going out there and bullying you and making false accusations and stuff about you and stuff. But, yeah, Facebook don't do nothing about that. But when you put out the truth and stuff, they want to flag you and block you. What's wrong with Facebook?
Yes. Again, like I say, it's the danger of having this stuff controlled by one central or a very few amount of entities like that, of doing that. You're exactly right. They can determine whether you can defend yourself or what you can say. They're the arbiters. I mean, I get it. It's their side.
That's my First Amendment right, bro. I'm going to say what I say. I speak the truth, and what I say, I ain't going to say behind your back. I'll say to your face.
Exactly. And I mean, and it even goes deeper than that in my view. We're becoming so dang sensitive to everything. This whole backlash of that. And I mean, of the dudes, but like you said, some people can get away with saying almost anything, and because if you're on the right side of the or the left side or whatever political side they're talking about, you get to say what you want, but you don't get to defend yourself or do that or have the debate.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I ride the fence row, because that way I can jump on either side when the truth is there. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I mean, I'm probably one of your more outspoken stuff on that, but I mean, and I've said that people try to pigeonhole me in that. I'm on the side of the Constitution, freedom, and liberty, and your individual right to do what you want, and not having all these other people telling you what, how, and why to go. That's where I'm at, and I think I am against, or I fight immensely and have for decades, over the establishment in both traditional political parties of that, because of the stance I take, because they are both in collusion to me, like in the stuff of interfering with our daily lives on this, and it's becoming worse and worse each and every day. And and that's what this example is of that. You have to work different means of trying to get this message out of a lot of times, and we've talked about it, of the efforts you're making and I'm making and few of us others are making, of working around or getting out the truth on this stuff of the way it should be.
Right. Yeah, that's what I say. When it comes to politics like that, oh my God, it's another world. I mean, do me a favor, Roy. I mean, look at your hair. You got a hat on? I'm not watching your.
Yes, I got my cowboy hat on.
Okay, pull that hat off a second.
I got the hat off.
All right, how much hair do you have up there right now?
I got a whole full head full of hair up here.
I'm surprised you don't, because man, politics will make you pull your hair out.
No, well, people take that. It's my point. And we only got a couple minutes left, but it's my point. People take this stuff too dang seriously. They can't have discussions about that stuff. Like I don't take it. If I have a different political point of view or something or outlook, unless you're trying to be mean at it, I don't hold that against you. I might disagree with you. I might try and convince you where you're wrong, but
why jump in and fight about it?
Yes, I'm not taking it personally, and that's what my point is. Is this under the guise of sensitive and stuff, they're actually, as you said, they're suppressing our ability to get the truth out in these rings, and that's what's really dangerous behind that. You got about a minute left. You can wrap up, say not anything you want, anything within reason that you want.
Right. That's it. Well, I'll tell you what, since they want to censor your truth, you need the truth put out, just come to me and I'll put it out for you.
There you go.
Because I'll speak it. I don't beat around the bush. I'll say it like it is. But hey, folks, y'all have a good one out there. This is me, that crazy guy with the lazy eye, with HEMETInews.com. Follow me on Facebook, HEMET News official page, and also on YouTube, HEMET News.
You got it. Thanks for being on. We'll do it again next Thursday, Eddie.
You have a good one, Roy.
You got it. That's Eddie's always entertaining. He's a great guy to have on the deal, and I mean, I'm sure he probably disagrees with some of the stuff I do. No big deal. We don't go around. We don't go around hating each other about it. That we don't. No, we actually discuss, agree, cooperate on this stuff. Hopefully not only to make our communities, our state or the world, United States world, a better place to live. And just like this, I mean, I'm getting messages back. Facebook is flagging my comments on the page on the live stream. So that's why you're hearing that, or if you can post on that, that's why I'm not posting on there right now, because they're flagging all the comments that I'm putting up on my broadcast, on my page, on that for the deal. It's getting ridiculous. We're going to be joining KMET 1490 here in a sec on that, as we usually do each and every day, Monday through Friday, on the Mighty Met 1490, as I'm warming up on that. Well, when we get into some of the latest one, have the first
1 minute.
the video that I sent on the first one on Bernie Sanders from Twitter, that, and then have the 2 and 3 ready, because we ran a little short on time, and I blew through those really fast. And then there's another fascinating article that got dug up about BS Bernie coming on the scene in that coming up. So of that of the creepy stuff that we had yesterday, well, more revealing facts are coming out about Mr. Sanders, and we will bring them to you right after the good old intro coming in here. We're going to be doing on that.
30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. Heck, I'm getting a little bit off on the timing on this. I thought we were coming up to the deal. We had about 20 seconds left on that. No, it's going to be fascinating on that. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss this, because we're going to break down the whole enchilada on that, and we'll even touch on again about
All right, here we go.
The SoundCloud tab, and hear any show anytime you want.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
That funky music that you're going to hear every day, 5:30 to 6 on the Mighty Met 1490 KMET, where you'll get the best news and talk on that, and you'll get the latest information, not only of world nationally, but the local news you'll not get anywhere else on IE Newswire Daily. Stay tuned to the best show with Stephanie and Roy and the whole crew on that each and every day, 5:30 to 6, mandatory that you tune in. There's another little promo that I did one at the top when we did that. They wanted me to do some promos, so I said, well, I'll just do them live on the show, and then you can kind of cut them up or do see what you like on that. That's how you use your time efficiently of doing that. You don't have to write scripts or nothing, or do that, or plan, or do that, or take up enough time. You just do them right during the show so everybody can see them. And then you'll, all of you that are watching today or can come back on that, you'll see how they do that, or if they use them, or they tell me, no, we didn't like that, we got to have them do you over again. So that's why that little rendition was coming up on that. So a lot of poppin' news on that. We just had Eddie George on from HEMET, and he's had some very exciting stories coming up about that. Like I said, I thought he was going to go with a joke when he said, well, the guy walked in and caught his wife in bed with somebody, but it's actually a real story that went on in HEMET, and gave us a 411 on that. I want to comment a little bit, because they said, like, those of you that watch our video cast on IE Newswire Daily on Facebook, the reason I'm not commenting is Facebook, those comments that I put up, or letting you guys know that the show's on, Facebook is saying, oh, these are against our community standards and stuff, and I don't know if they're flagging them or coming up on that. But again, like we talked about a little bit with Eddie on that, it's getting ridiculous that they're doing all this stuff. From all the stuff that Facebook's done, I said they should do a class action suit. I really believe that. We talked, I think, a little bit of Tom Del Beccaro, and he said, yeah, you might be able to roll something across that. I think they're too big monopolizing between them and Google and a few of these information companies that are doing that. I mean, what was so offensive, or what's against the community standards of tagging my friends and letting them know that the show's on? like a chainsaw. He likes me to wear the hat, so I wear the hat. So I'm tagging him so he can see that I have the hat on. So this is some of the stuff that's dangerous. And this is why I'm kind of setting this up, because here you're going to see the more danger of what's about to happen in the United States. It appears, I don't know, a lot of the conventional wisdom, even Bloomberg's camp was reported by CNN's thinking, man, they're thinking it's over. The BS Bernie is going to win the Democratic nomination. We had Kenny White on Monday. He said, yeah, I mean, even though Trump will probably and most likely win in November against Bernie Sanders, he said, still, there's always that possibility. And, at that point, if he becomes the Democratic nominee, he's one heartbeat away from the presidency. Because you never know. Like they say, politics can change on 180 on a heartbeat. It could completely turn over. So nothing's guaranteed until the last vote is counted, or, as Hillary Clinton had to do November coming up and almost 4 years ago, concede on election night when Trump stomped her behind all over the place back in November 2016, and thank God that happened. But there's another one. Phil Donahue did some interviews, so we got to do the one with Milton Friedman on greed that Phil Donahue did back in the same time, because Milton Friedman will tell you why BS Bernie philosophy will fail. But this is a clip that just came out of a 1981 interview with Phil Donahue. He did a lot of. This is back when we were sane and we didn't try and make entertainment shows out of doing that. And even though Phil Donahue was on the extreme left side, like me and Eddie were talking about at HEMET News. Things were much more civil. The guys on the right or left or differing opinions didn't get out there, didn't take it personally, didn't turn it into a food fight, didn't sit there and argue about it or get mean or throw stuff. They just had normal conversations about attitudes and positions and things of what affected them the way they saw it. So again, roll the clip. This is BS Bernie on the deal of his view on capitalism, because he came up with the debates, and like Bloomberg concretely said, what, are you against capitalism now? Of course. He said, of course I'm not. And there's a very legitimate reason why. Roll the clip when you got it.
I know these are terribly complicated questions and our time is up, but are you a capitalist?
No, I'm not a capitalist.
So you don't believe in the profit motive, free enterprise? If I have a better mousetrap, I make more money.
There's something to be said for free enterprise on a local level.
Stop
right there. But what we're happening.
Stop right there. So, he's not against capitalism. He's not against if you make $1 that you get to keep it and earn it and do and benefit to that or say how it goes. Maybe you want to buy a car. Maybe you want to donate it to a charity. Maybe you want to buy your kid a new bicycle or whatever. Maybe you want to get your kid out of the corrupt school systems we had and into a private school or a charter school, so he actually gets a decent education, even though you're being taxed on that and you still can't stand it. You got to do that. He's afforded at the local level. Well, what the heck does that mean? Go ahead and roll the rest.
In our society is we don't live in a free enterprise society. You live in a corporate capitalist society where in virtually every single industry you have giant multi-billion-dollar corporations competing, driving the small businessman
But let's
out.
pretend it would work without all that kind of acquisition of power that is unfair and doesn't...
Do I believe that the profit motive is fundamental to human nature? The answer is no. I think the spirit of cooperation, that you and I can work together better rather than having to compete against each other and destroy each other.
Bernard Sanders, mayor, Burlington, Vermont.
There's when he just got elected. The first job he ever had was being mayor. And we're going to bring out the Politico story on that. He was 40 before he ever had a job. And you want to know the caption behind Bernie should be "Deadbeat Dad." We'll get into that in a bit. No, I'm against capitalism. I'm not for these corporate. Get away from me, Bernie. First place, and even Phil said, okay, let's take all that away. So he wasn't against. It isn't that. It's a Bernie, the deadbeat dad that sloughed off, never had a job, never had a private sector job that anybody can identify, except that he maybe for a week or two he worked and was a crappy carpenter. Couldn't make it at that. Sloughed off, never did anything, up and down the line, and he's running. He gets elected mayor, and he's doing all this. You know the reason why he wants free? Because that's his lifestyle. That's his philosophy. That's his life that he has lived. Go take it from somebody else because I don't want to go out there and bust my rear end and earn a living. BS Bernie is systematic of what is wrong with what he is saying. Because like we said, his fallacy or the socialism communistic dictatorship fallacy is, oh, well, we're going to tax the rich. We're going to take it from them. We're going to take it from the evil companies, and there is no evil companies. Everybody or that, there's stockholders that own that. When you bottom line is people like you and me, and a lot of you that have 401ks or pensions or especially public employees, your pensions are depending on that, on those companies making a dollar. You know what? They all go broke. You don't have a pension or a 401k because most of your money is invested in the companies that he's trying to destroy. Because the fallacy, like I said, of that is you assume if you're going to take away the profit incentive from anyone, company, individual, anything else, that they are going to still keep producing at that same rate or greater. That has never happened in the history of the world, ever. That I can ever find, and I defy anybody to write down where it has happened, because it has not. Because if you get to the point where you're busting your rear end and everybody's taking it from you, you're going to wake up and say, why in the heck am I doing this? And this happened in the 1700s and nothing other than what became of the United States of America. Because if it wasn't for the 3% that stood with George Washington, because most everybody was going to give up. And the story before the story of 1776 is they were all trying this. Like Bernie said, oh, we're going to cooperate. We're going to do collectivism. We're going to put everything in a pile and everybody's going to split it up evenly and every fairness and all this stuff. And everybody was starving to death. King George was taking all the money, 90% of it. That's why we had the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party. If it wasn't for George Washington and his 3% of Merry Band of Warriors said not no, but hell no, and we're going to kick the Brits' ass on that because we know what we're doing is right. And we know this is the only way that you can survive is if you actually, only way society can survive is if you earn something, you get to keep it. It's called private property rights. They take that away from you and you've got nothing. Then you are enslaving to them. If you do not have the ability to own a home or a car or a boat or an airplane or your kids' furniture on their bed or anything else, then you got nothing. If they can come in and tell you like they're dictating what you can and can't do in your home, then you no longer have private property rights. It's getting crazy. Up and down. And we did this. This is the same clip. I'm going to read and have clip number 2 ready in a little bit on that. This is the secret life of Bernie Sanders. It was in Politico in 2015 before Party for Lift first campaign coming up. They did it and they went and investigated this. This is the secret life of Bernie Sanders. And that's what they're going down. He's the socialist. The reason why he's doing all this. He's been married like 3 times, had a son. First marriage or second marriage, the wife's actually probably out there doing the work and stuff. They're living in a cabin with dirt floors, and finally she says, I'm getting tired of this, and ditches his behind because the dude won't go out there and earn a living, so they wouldn't have to live in a cabin with dirt floors and such. He has a second kid from his girlfriend or whatever. Doesn't pay any child support because, you know what, he didn't have a job or any form of income. Had $70,000 in debt of that probably the citizens of Vermont paid to support his kid. This guy's been living off the dole. That's what he is. He's a freeloader. And he thinks the whole world can survive off freeloading. Everything is free. Somebody else will do that. Yada, yada. You don't have to work for anything. You don't have to do nothing. It's precisely what Bernie Sanders is all about. That's why his buddy is none other than Fidel Castro or Ortega from Nicaragua or the former Soviet Union. That's why he is. And that's why Barack Obama was praising this. That's why Barack Obama was nationalizing our car industry, our banking industry, and everything else, because they want control over you. They want to dictate what, why, and how everything you're going to do. So replay clip 2. We played it yesterday, but we really didn't have enough time to get into it. So roll clip number 2. This is Bernie on of what he said, I believe, at the debates.
For lifting more people out of extreme poverty than any other country. You also have a track record of expressing sympathy for socialist governments in Cuba and in Nicaragua. Can Americans trust that a democratic socialist president will not give authoritarians a free pass?
I have opposed authoritarianism all over the world, and I was really amazed at what Mayor Bloomberg just said a moment ago. He said that the Chinese government is responsive to the Politburo. But who the hell is the Politburo responsive to? Who elects the Politburo? You got a real dictatorship there? Of course you have a dictatorship in Cuba. What I said is what Barack Obama said in terms of Cuba, that Cuba made progress on education. Yes, I think, really? Really?
Yes,
literacy
there's no
programs are bad. What Barack Obama said is they made great progress on education
So stop that.
and healthcare.
Let's see what Barack Obama actually said in 2016 that B.S. Bernie is responding to. Great progress, not progress, great progress of that. So when you got clip 3 ready, roll it, Jesse, on that.
And I said this to President Castro in Cuba. I said, look, you've made great progress in educating young people. Every child in Cuba gets a basic education. That's a huge improvement from where it was. Medical care. You know, the life expectancy of Cubans is equivalent to the United States, despite it being a very poor country, because they have access to health care. That's a huge achievement. They should be congratulated.
Stop right there. Go down to Cuba and run through their medical deal, Mr. Obama. Try and get medical care down in Cuba. Actually, go in there and see what those kids are actually learning. That's why they're leaving in droves from Cuba, and have for since the 50s, since they shut down, since Castro came in and shut down once great thriving economy that was, when it was a free market system in Cuba, it was one of the hot spots of the world. Now it's like they said, it's one of the poorest, worst hellholes that you can be in. Cuba is having a great education system. Give me a freaking break. They're giving you a mass deception on this each and every day. And the ones that praise this stuff, you're digging your own grave. Because as Margaret Thatcher said, the once great Prime Minister and the Iron Lady of Britain said, socialism is great until you run out of other people's money. And that's the same thing I'm saying. It's assuming socialism is assuming everybody's going to produce at the same rate. Go look at Venezuela. They thought, Venezuela's another example. Was a great country, was thriving. Everybody was happy under the capitalistic system. Then they started socialism. One leader come in and talk them into it. Oh, everything's going to be free. And everybody says, yeah, we won't have to work. We won't have to do nothing. We'll live off all this oil money. Well, go down there to Venezuela today. They're starving to death. The whole country practically is. That's what will happen if you let this stuff go. I mean, in the Politico article, this is what Bernie Sanders read. He read Marx, Lenin, and Trotsky, some of the worst murderous dictators, communist control artists you've ever heard. This is a college. He got a college degree from Chicago, whatever, university. Never got a job. Only has been employed as a public politician, as senator, as senator from Vermont and mayor of Burlington, Vermont. It goes on about the dirt shack and the working, of that. Uh, this guy is just, yes, his son, Levi Noah Sanders, who was born in '69. He had the mother was Susan Campbell Mott from the political order. Sanders had met Mott in New York and lived with her there. He lived with her in Stanner too, but not for long before moving to Burlington, Vermont's largest city. Raised in New York, educated in Chicago, Sanders did deep woods idly over. Burlington, according to Liberty Union Archives and Finance Records, where he lived and started running office. Sanders was not a politician, it says, and it goes on and on. But then it goes back down to the same thing, where he won the election and stuff. But again, he never paid child support, never supported his kid. Like I said, deadbeat dad Bernie. Never got a job to do all this stuff. But he's for the Socialist Party because he wants you and me to pay for his, his fun time. Well, I got, I got to have the kid, da-da-da. Well, let the village pay for it. Why should I have to work and earn a living to pay for my children? If we come down to this, if you think everybody's going to, if you think the society, if you think your quality of life can survive on this sort of idiocracy, then you tell me, and more importantly, you tell the American people how it has ever been successful before. Like I said, the late, great radio detective and late night talk show host, syndicated Jerry Pierce, used to say all the time, best indication of future behavior is past behavior. And that's why you study history. Why you cannot change it, don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And the mistakes of the past are just what Bernie's talking about, because it will destroy not only this country, but probably the world economic system if you try to put it in place. One of the only things that's keeping the engine of the world economy going is we're still holding on in the United States. And as other markets become freer, like Norway and Denmark and Switzerland, which are moving vastly to free market economies when they found out the social experiment just did not work. Your only path to freedom, your only path to a higher quality of life, your only path to success or being what you want to be, opportunity, is, again, if you have the incentive, if you go out and bust your end and earn a dollar, you get to keep it, and you get to decide what you do with it. Not the stuff of, oh, everybody's free and it's in fairness and all this stuff. I'm so tired of hearing the word fairness, or you're offending somebody, or this or that or anything else. Speaking the truth is not offending anyone. Telling you the way it is not offending anyone. Sometimes you may have to do it with some hyperbole, a little flair to get the point across, but it's still the truth. You put the record out there. I'll put my record, stack it against anybody because it's very public. Let's stack what I've said and what has gone on and all this stuff. Again, seats are here. Phones are open. If your philosophy is right, or you're right, you should be able to wipe the floor with me. But you know what? You see them all run and hide in the corner. They won't come in and defend their actions because the real ones know the inside story of what they're doing. They're trying to screw you over. But they're promising it on the dream of free we're doing for you when they're constantly shoving that knife in your back further. It's going to be this whole March 3rd is going to be a very good determinant. How many of you are going to go out? How many of you are out there actively campaigning against these bond measures or tax increases? Did you know they're screwing you? Your kids. Kids, $20,000 per student, K through 12. Class of 30. Look at it, the average class size about 30. So the average class size in every class in every classroom in the state of California is getting $600,000, and they need more money. That is a lie. You could do this. You could educate kids at half, at $10,000. Yeah, wait. You listen to them. Oh, Moreno Valley School District. Oh, we only get $8,000 per student. Da 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 da. Well, yeah, that's the check you get for the attendance. For the attendance at your school. If the kid comes in, that you get an $8,000 check. Doesn't count all the other money you get. Like I said, that's about 40% of the money that they try to tell you they have, but what they really get. They will not tell you that. What is really going on? What is behind that? Because they are the ones that are profiting. Again, speak the truth. You think Measure M? I went out there and put that. Me and Jeff Gaiba, Jesse Molina, and a couple others, Leland Daniels, Carlos Ramirez. We put the arguments out there. None other than the Press Enterprise Editorial Board almost copied our arguments and recommended a vote of no, because they said this whole bond measure, $198 million, could cost you $1 billion or more. It's fool's gold. Just like what they're doing to you today. You pass Prop 13, you pass yes on A, you're going down. There will just be another nail in the further decline of your standard of living. 30% it dropped in Moreno Valley from 2000 to 2015 on purchasing power in that 30% drop. That means everybody that could purchase $10 worth of goods in 2000 could only purchase $7 in equivalent merchandise, product, whatever. And if you don't think that doesn't have a profound effect on your community, then I don't know what else I could say to make that point. Not only can you see it, you've seen it in the transformation of your communities. Not just Moreno Valley, from HEMET to San Bernardino to Riverside and everywhere else around here. You're hearing of the homeless problem, the drug problems, the crime problems, and everything else. You're living it. And you're going to continue to live it at this rate, and you're going to see even more problems going if you don't stand up and correct this. So we got to go. It's up to you. It's your choice. You can run and hide, but they're running all this stuff. You move to Texas. Texas turning purple. They're running this whole stuff up in Washington, D.C. Look at all the stuff that they keep pumping out in California, cap and trade, all this other stuff that they try. It's coming. It'll be spreading across. I've said it many times. Don't let the cancer of California spread across the entire nation. You're not going to like it. We'll be back tomorrow on Fast Friday. We'll preview the Auto Club 400 weekend coming up on that, and all the fun stuff, news, and everything else coming up. And even preview, maybe we'll talk a little bit, because South Carolina primary will be Saturday on that. Elections next Tuesday on that. We will be back with Stephanie on Fast Friday tomorrow. See ya.